So what I wanted to talk about with you is very recently you watched the original Star Wars saga basically for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd probably seen some of them when I was really young.
You have to actively try to not see Star Wars at all. So you do have, like, you have the average cultural exposure to Star Wars, but you hadn't actually sat down and watched A New Hope or Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi through. Right. And we only very recently did that. And I wanted to get the perspective of kind of like an unmarred adults who watch Star Wars, who grew up with Star Wars, are corrupted by the fact that they watch it as kids. Yeah. Because children view things very differently than adults do.
Right, yeah. Because, like, sometimes I rewatch movies that I, like, watched a ton as a kid now. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Was that there? I just can't believe how different it is.
Right. It's not necessarily that it's better or worse. It's just so different. Yes. So... I guess we can just, like, first impressions of Star Wars in general. Okay.
It was pretty good. I liked a lot of the aspects. I really liked the artistry in a lot of them.
Okay, so like the production design or like crafting the stories?
Well, some of them I think the story's really good. But there was a lot of really great like puppets and stuff. Because you said we watched a different version than...
Well, right. We watched the theatrical cuts. So when we watched the Jabba's Palace sequence, we did not see CGI Cy Snoodles dancing around.
Now I want to see that.
we can go back and watch it now that you've seen the original puppets. They blend far more in.
They're so expressive.
We have the Kowakian monkey lizard that laughs, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That's a human puppet, so there's an organicness to it that CGI could never have.
Totally, yeah.
So on artistry, what other artistic aspects did you like?
Can I say this? I really like the moon with the Ewoks.
Okay.
I feel like I want to have a little treehouse in Endor.
and encounter Ewoks.
Yeah.
Your response to the Ewoks is very interesting. Because a lot of people who even grew up with the films have a problem with the Ewoks, that they're too silly or...
I mean, they're kind of cute.
But, like, you really like the Ewoks.
Yeah, sure. What's wrong with Ewoks?
Well, what did you like about the Ewoks?
They're cute. Does that count?
Well, that's how they're designed. They're designed to be cute.
Right, but they carry spears.
That's true.
Right? And there are so many of them. Yeah, they're not really frightening. And, like, when Leia first encounters them, she's not really scared of the Ewoks.
See, I think that's a major point with the Ewoks is how are we as the audience supposed to be terrified of Ewoks when none of the characters are terrified by them?
Well, Leia's, like, holding the Ewok's hand, so I kind of get teddy bear vibes.
And they're kind of like when like Han, Luke, and Chewie get captured for the first time, they're kind of like looking around like, really? Like...
Right, yeah, they're not scared at all.
Yeah. That is interesting.
Yeah.
But you didn't have a problem with them overthrowing the Empire.
I can kind of see how that happens, right? Because the Empire doesn't react to them as, like, hostile force, must take down at any cost, right? They react to them as, like, oh, these little things, we can't hurt them, but we gotta make sure they don't bother anything. And with that kind of attitude, I mean, what do you think's gonna happen, right?
You did mention while we were watching it that none of the stormtroopers appear to be shooting at the Ewoks. Right. They're always running after them.
They're trying to
grab them. Yeah.
Like, what do you think is going to happen? That's so ineffective.
So maybe there's like an implicit message there that, like, underestimating the enemy is their downfall. Maybe less than, like, it doesn't speak so much to the Ewok's strength, but the Empire's hubris.
I mean, maybe it's because they're so cute. People don't want to shoot them.
Yeah.
And then it ends up they're just overpowered by this insane force of cute teddy bears.
That's possible.
With spears.
So what did you think about the characters?
I guess, it's funny. I really liked Lando.
Yeah. Lando's, like, my favorite character.
The whole reason why we started watching these is because we watched the Solo movie.
That's correct.
And I thought that was pretty good. And Eric was like, oh, we should watch these other movies. So I was surprised to see Lando play such a big role in those movies. I kind of liked his character development from the Solo movie through all of those. Will I get hanged for that?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's really interesting to see, like, to go right from the Solo movie to Empire Strikes Back, where when they meet in Empire, it really works very well as, like, that's the next time they see each other.
Yeah.
And I thought they did that really well, because that was the first time I had seen Empire since Solo. But you still haven't said what characters you didn't like.
Well,
don't be afraid to say it.
Okay, so...
Because...
Sorry, what?
I was just going to say, nobody hates Star Wars as much as Star Wars fans. So if you say something that you didn't like, nobody's going to kill you for it.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, well, yeah, I hate that too, you know?
Yeah.
So you can just let it out.
I didn't like Luke.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
What didn't you like about Luke?
He was really annoying.
All the time? Because he's definitely a whiny little kid in the first one.
But he's not a little kid.
Yeah.
He's an adult that's behaving like a whiny little kid.
He's supposed to be like 19.
Doesn't act like it. I'm just saying. No, he's pretty whiny.
But like Luke didn't improve through the films?
Almost as if by chance
Yeah.
he improved. Yeah, it's not like he even put in a concerted effort. You know,
okay.
He kind of, well, it's like, oh, I'm going to do this thing that everyone's telling me not to do, but they're kind of wrong, but I'm kind of wrong too, and it just so happens that it kind of works out okay. Like, big deal, you know?
But he was right about there being good in his father. That was an idea that he had regardless of everything that anybody told him. And he was right. It wasn't that it just so happened that he was right.
I guess. I don't know. I'm not terribly...
He does kind of seem to like actively try to mess things up, like in Empire Strikes Back when everyone's telling him not to go to Cloud City and he does.
But then again in the next movie on with the slug guy.
Return of the Jedi.
Yep, that one. he's a slug guy.
Jabba the Hutt is the character.
Jabba the Hutt, yes. He sort of goes into danger and it's sort of like on purpose and everything works out pretty well.
That's true.
But people almost die. Like so close. What is it, Lando? He almost like gets sucked into the Kraken thing.
The Sarlacc.
The Sarlacc. He almost dies. There's no way that he could have predicted that.
That's true. So Luke really, recklessly endangers.
He's pretty reckless.
There's a better way to rescue Han than mayhem and blowing up everything.
Yeah. I feel like he could have done a better job. So I don't see a lot of character improvement.
And he endangers the mission by tagging along to Endor. I mean, he recognized that though. And he gave himself up to Darth Vader so that the other ones could be.
I'm not impressed.
All right. So you've seen The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi as well.
Yeah.
So you know how Luke ends up.
Dead?
Well, but like a lot of people who have a really strong affinity for Luke had major problems with Luke in The Last Jedi. So you, who actually doesn't seem to like Luke all that much... What is it like for somebody who doesn't like Luke to see Luke depicted the way he is in The Last Jedi?
I don't know. It just doesn't seem very different from what he was always like, but maybe like a little older and more grumpy, I guess.
Make your case for Luke being the same.
Well, I sort of already said how he's this irresponsible, person that doesn't really improve very much. Mm-hmm. He just gets kind of lucky. With his dad, it could have gone either way, I feel like. It could have been...
he could have still been killed by Palpatine, in theory.
Palpy.
Because...
What a weirdo.
Maybe Darth Vader would have, hesitated for one more... Maybe they were still good in Darth Vader, but he waited, one more second to,
Right. I still don't think Palpatine's dead. I feel like he's alive. I mean,
He'll come back.
Come on.
I mean, Darth Maul came back.
Somebody that powerful, he just happens to fall down a shaft and be like,
well, you mentioned, while we were watching the movie, is well, couldn't he have done something about it? He falls for a little bit of time and doesn't appear
He seems a little overly surprised, Oh,
he's putting on a show. He screams the whole way down to distract from the fact that he's got a plan.
Yeah. He had, a blue explosive device in his cloak, and he used that to...
That's interesting. So your official theory for the future of Star Wars is that Palpatine will return.
Definitely.
All right. Palpatine does return in the old expanded universe.
Oh, does he?
The Dark Empire comics. He transfers his soul into a younger clone. And it's really bad.
He does look pretty rough in the first 3. See, I stopped watching the third movie. I stopped watching that one right when he like got all weird.
Yeah.
His face got all strange.
He got pulpified.
He looks much better in he looks so much younger in the older movies.
I know. That
in the newer ones, like the last
he's like all fat and like
he looks awful.
The makeup is not compatible.
Gotta get rid of the gluten. The gluten's killing him.
I've always had a problem with he's really puffy, but like you could say like it's fresh damage, right?
Okay,
it's
before he got all his like L'Oreal products.
Well, no, I'm just saying like he's all like swollen.
Yeah.
In Revenge of the Sith, but he has time to deflate.
Anyway, no. What were you asking me about? Yeah, Pelpy's coming back. That wasn't what you were saying. Oh yeah. Is Luke? Yeah, consistent. So he's pretty irresponsible, and then. Yeah, later on, I guess he just becomes a little bit more bitter, in the whole side thing with Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah, he's jaded.
Like, he's angry at himself too, though. That's one of the big things. Because he let this happen.
Right.
So yeah, it makes sense to me.
All right, that's a very interesting perspective. I agree. I think Luke in The Last Jedi is very compatible with Luke in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's still a bad character, but he's like a meanie head. I don't know.
I was one of those people that never really liked Luke that much. Like I liked Luke, and I've always liked Luke, but like I was never a Luke fan.
I thought the way that Chewie's character fit together was really great.
How so?
Well, he's sort of like depicted as this like man-eating monster at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, and that it kind of always seemed weird because later they're always saying, "Oh yeah, careful, you know, he'll pull your arms off." Mm-hmm. And it's like, Chewie? Really? I mean, he's so sweet, but you know, it kind of fits. Yeah,
we
together.
never really see Chewie's brutality in the original films.
Right, but you get some of it. You get some of it in the Solo movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That always was weird to me because like Chewie acts like this animal. Like in Return of the Jedi where he's like, "Oh, that's just a dead animal." And Chewie's like wants to just eat a dead animal that he finds in the woods. But he's like this intelligent creature. So there's
maybe
like,
he just has a really great immune system. You know?
He just and like a really big appetite.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's big, right?
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Why wouldn't he?
That's true. So you never like watching.
Speaking of Chewie eating things, the scene in that one with the little penguins.
The Last Jedi.
Yes, that one. When he was eating the porg, I thought that when the little porg looks at him and is like, "How could you?" I thought that was a good moment.
I like how you have this very like non-cynical response because like other people are like, "Oh, they're trying to sell porg toys." It's interesting that you have that reaction.
The green milk was a little weird, but I'm sensing a pattern because there was the blue milk. Mm-hmm. So I think next we might have orange milk.
Okay. They're just going to go, or red milk because red, green, blue.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Red milk.
What color is the milk in Attack of the Clones? Is it red? I don't know because in the edit, wow, that's cool. Look at the color it was in Attack of the Clones. I'm going to cut to Attack of the Clones footage there because I don't know for a fact, but I think it's red in Attack of the Clones. So do you ever imagine yourself being obsessed with the Star Wars universe?
No, probably not. I mean, yeah, no.
The question here is like, there are millions of people, positively millions of people worldwide who are completely obsessed with Star Wars.
What is the median age?
I think like a common denominator for all these people is that they watch Star Wars as children. Like 7 years old seems to be like the magical age because like online people will say like, well, I showed Star Wars to my 4-year-old and they got bored, but I showed Star Wars to my 7-year-old and they were hooked from day one. So like, what is it about the 7-year-old mind that just can't resist Star Wars and it becomes a lifelong passion for them?
I mean, I played with swords as a kid, but I was more like a Robin Hood kind of thing. But it's,
okay, here's something then maybe. Star Wars kind of appeals, it kind of gives a framework for the kinds of things that kids typically do.
Yeah.
Kids hit each other with sticks.
Yeah.
Kids chase each other around. So Star Wars provides this framework where it's like, okay, I'm not just me hitting you with a stick. I'm Darth Vader and you're Luke Skywalker. Or when you're riding your bikes together, you're riding speeder bikes on Endor, and you point your toe down on the pedal because the scout trooper does that, and he goes, literally everything that children do.
Well, that's sort of the archetypal nature of the story, though, that it fits into a lot of these archetypes just as many other stories do. It's just a different way of fitting in the same thing. So like when I was a kid, I wasn't a stormtrooper and I wasn't Luke. I was Robin Hood, right? And I beat my brother with a stick.
But Robin Hood isn't this like lifelong obsessive passion for you that the way for kids who grew up on Star Wars, it still is for them.
But for me, growing up on Robin Hood was one of the big reasons why I ended up majoring in English literature, and one of the main reasons why I learned Anglo-Saxon and did all that stuff, right?
So it still had a profound effect on your adult life.
Sure,
The things that you played as a kid.
So as a kid, it's kind of a great story because it's just this really, like, I feel like platonic's the wrong word to use, but it's mostly just like action.
Right.
But I really liked the first, the second one was okay, of the original, and the third, because they're so, the characters are so developed. And it's not relying on this romance plot or on, it's not as plot driven as character driven. And I personally really like that. I really appreciate that because I feel like it's a lot harder to craft a character-driven movie than it is a plot-driven movie.
Right.
Maybe that's just
my
biased opinion, but
why Empire Strikes Back resonates with people so much is because Empire Strikes Back really doesn't have much of a plot. I mean, there's a goal, like, get away from the Empire. But, like, there's not, like, a plan. You know, it's just kind of like things happen, but you're drawn along because Han and Leia have such a good chemistry. And, Luke's off with Yoda, and there's, like, some cool, like, Yoda's such a great character.
Oh, man. I loved Yoda. Can I just talk about how much I loved Yoda?
You can. Sure
Yoda
can.
was great. He was really... That's all I'm
just
going
to say. Cut it there.
No, Yoda was really great. I really, really, really liked the puppetry of Yoda. His little ears... I know that's like a super tiny detail. Yeah. But they're just so expressive. I loved it.
Yeah, they definitely knew what they were doing with that.
Yeah. And I loved how he's totally pretending to be crazy at the beginning just to like test Luke out.
Well, you called that immediately. You said, why is he pretending to be crazy? Yeah. Which is weird because like I don't remember what I thought of Yoda when I first saw him. Because I watched Empire Strikes Back before I had memories. So Yoda was like, I always knew what Yoda was up to. Yeah. Because there was never...
as a kid, he just seemed like this funny old guy.
Well, sure. But like, I can't remember the first time I saw Yoda. Yeah. I can't remember the first thought I had when Yoda was acting crazy with Luke. So it's interesting to see somebody who said, why is he acting crazy? Because like, wow, I don't even remember what I first thought.
What he's really
well, there's an additional level, like you knew that Yoda was Yoda. Yeah. Like you knew that. Right. Yeah. But like in theory, right. And that's the thing is like you can't escape this like cultural influence of Star Wars. But in theory, original audiences in the theater watching Empire Strikes Back did not know that Yoda was Yoda when they first saw him. And found out along with Luke when he's like, Yoda. I don't remember. There's never a time where I didn't know it was Yoda, and there was never a time when you didn't know it was Yoda. So we still don't have like the unadulterated initial response to what because like you're like because you thought why is he acting crazy because you knew he was Yoda but if you didn't know he was Yoda, like would that have blown your mind?
I'd have to watch it again.
Gladly.
Yeah, but no, it's good. When he lifts the machine out of the swamp. That was cool. Yes.
So talking about like spoiled revelations, right?
Yeah.
So like you knew going into this that Darth Vader was Luke's father.
Yeah.
So like there even somebody who hasn't seen the movies before can't escape the fact that all the major story points are spoiled. Did you know that Leia and Luke were siblings?
Yes, I did.
See, like everything, every major reveal you knew.
Well, you know what surprised me though? It surprised me that when Luke wanted to go into the creepy dark forest on Yoda's planet, what's that called?
Dagobah.
He wanted to go on the creepy dark forest. What Yoda said that he didn't need his lightsaber because the only thing in there was whatever he took with him.
Right.
But he took his lightsaber anyway, which is also the stupid Luke that I'm talking about. But anyway, but then he sees like he is his father in there, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised by that because I mean I didn't know that was going to happen.
Okay.
But that was really cool.
What's something else that surprised you about the movies?
It was surprising when they were in the Millennium Falcon, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to be safe in this asteroid," and then it's like, "No, it's going to swallow them."
It's a giant creature.
It's a giant, like, gross worm.
Yes. It's a space slug.
A space slug. It didn't look like a slug.
It doesn't, because it's got a mouth with teeth.
Yeah.
And slugs don't have that.
Have that. Yeah. Yeah. It was a space worm.
Do worms have teeth?
It was a carnivorous space worm. I mean,
well, that's what's great about. That's one thing that I think is great about Star Wars is their ability to create creatures that are like completely believable, but don't really have very strong analogs to real life things.
Yeah, sure.
Like, what is a tauntaun? Describe to me a tauntaun. Precisely.
It's like a kangaroo.
Kind of.
But it's got like a ram's head.
Yeah.
But it's also like a dinosaur because it's got the legs. I'm going with chicken, kangaroo, ram.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with.
And that's why I think that's just something I think of like a magic behind the Star Wars creatures is the tauntaun is like a really believable creature.
Yeah.
But like it's not just like, oh well, that's just a
it's funny.
A space version of
I feel like with the first movie that we watched. I think it's just because of the budget of the film that I sort of had a different metric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like in Star Wars, the original Star Wars, they go into the cantina and they're obviously wearing like Halloween store masks. There's like a literal werewolf.
I mean the werewolf was a little weird, but like I feel like I didn't judge it very harshly.
Okay.
Because that wasn't the point.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
They're communicating an idea with all those weird creatures, not... Yeah.
It's a sketch, and it's a very good sketch. But then again, maybe it's part of the charm for, like, little kids when they're, like, pick up a stick and they have a lightsaber. It's kind of like...
It's naturalistic.
Flash handle.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of the way I think about props, too. Because I see something and I'm like, oh, a world. I see it. It starts to slowly form around it. And that's kind of the cool thing about that first movie is where, all these things are kind of like this weird conglomeration of, like, space creatures in this, like, super seedy pub. You really have an idea of what this world is like.
That's true.
All these weird creatures from like all over the galaxy in this one pub, and then like somebody shoots somebody and it's totally like normal.
Run of the mill, yeah.
And it's like, wow, space is a scary place. I can see why the Empire appeals to people.
Interesting.
I know they have all the scary music when the Empire comes on, but like, what if it wasn't scary music?
Right. Well, I'm still waiting for them to do like a sympathetic Empire movie. I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Like let's show really like the Empire realistically.
Fans would hate that.
I don't think so. I think there's a large section of like there's a subreddit called "The Empire Did Nothing Wrong."
Of course there is.
And it's even the most horrible regimes aren't 100% of the time doing evil things. So there has to be somebody in the Empire somewhere doing something sympathetic.
Yeah, sure.
That we can do a movie about. And I think that'd be really interesting.
I could agree with you. But then when Luke takes off Darth Vader's mask and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like he got messed up. How did he get messed up?
We have to watch Revenge of the Sith. Well, how do you think he got messed up? Let's get some like fan theories.
So I think the Emperor did it to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the vibe you get because Yoda says, "Do not underestimate the Emperor or suffer your father's fate."
He's a creep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah.
Because that would kind of control him that way.
Would seem,
because like if he like turns off his suit, then he would like die, right?
Like the Emperor's got the kill switch, like he can kill Darth Vader
and he's got that like harmonica. It's a harmonica,
yeah,
right?
I always thought it looked like a harmonica. he just starts. Help me take this mask off.
Yeah, no, but I think the Emperor did it to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you if you're right or not because we have to watch Revenge of the Sith.
Maybe it was Obi-Wan.
Maybe it was Obi-Wan.
You have such a great poker face, man. Yeah, I can't think of anything.
So do you have final thoughts about Star Wars?
Yeah, I approve.
You approve.
It's
good.
It's pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not a huge sci-fi person.
That's fair.
But watching it, I was okay. So this is my raw take. Okay.
I'm all for it.
I always kind of thought Star Wars was a little like geeky. Mm-hmm. But I think watching it, I have an appreciation for it.
So you maybe understand its universal appeal.
Yeah, I get that. Because it's the cool thing about it, I think, is it's not in the future. It sort of like changes the narrative frame in a way of like, oh, we were so cool.
Oh, it takes the focus off of like its place in the timeline and more on like, okay, like this is just a world. Because it's not like, oh, this is our future. Or this is our, well, it could be
but it could have been our past.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
So did we come from a galaxy far, far away?
Maybe we did. I don't know. But it sort of puts that into your mind. As opposed to like forward thinking of like, oh, we have so far to get to like use lightsabers and do all this like crazy futuristic stuff. It's like it's already in the past. We're already cool. But we could become cool again.
Okay.
Like
That's
a
very interesting perspective.
I kind of liked watching it on the film because it's like somebody actually saw this in a movie theater and like this actually was an experience thing.
I had a stronger connection to the movie that time too.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, where I realized, well, I talked about when we finished watching it. The video's over.
Yeah.
We're just talking now because this doesn't fit in anywhere. But like the way that it finally clicked to me that like Star Wars was filmed by people.
Yeah.
Like
seriously, how did they get all that stuff to work on film?